everyone. We are here with a special podcast today.
We're at Crown Digital. She's so gracious. Cherie is so gracious to
Yes.
host us here and have us come over and make ourselves at home. It's kind of a nice little
It's like we're
way
family.
to talk to people, be family, meet new friends. So yeah, love it.
Yes. So if you are needing any websites, social media marketing, content creation, Crown Digital is your girl.
Yep, for sure.
Thank you.
So what else is going on? We got to see each other yesterday. We did the video.
Yes, we did the video. We're at by the time this airs, we'll know who our new mayor is.
Yes, we
right
will.
now, I don't want to talk about anything but that, and we could talk about that all day. So I guess we'll just let it go.
We got to let that go.
Yep.
So by the time this airs, we will know who our new mayor is.
Yes.
And best of luck to everyone involved. And then I'm sure we'll have another podcast after that.
Yeah. Well, the tough thing about this race is there's not a runoff,
Yes.
and I feel like it's going to be really close across the board.
Yes. Well, best of luck. May the best man win.
Yes.
Politically correct you are.
Yes. We're trying to be politically correct.
We
Sure, it's
try.
hard though.
But we are here today with some special guests. We have,
Randy Ebersbach.
And John Ebersbach.
yes, from the law offices of, what is it?
Cam, Ebersbach, and Lewis.
That's
Yes. So we would like to welcome you.
Well, thank
We're
you.
glad to have
Thank
the
you.
father-son duo with
Well,
us.
thank you for having us.
Yes. Yes.
We're
Thanks for
happy to be
reaching
here.
out to
Thanks
us.
for hosting. Thanks for the invitation. And it's nice to meet you ladies.
And,
Yeah,
and also thank you for everything that you do for the community and Chatty Women. We have some proud members of the Chatty Women community that work at our office, which is how we were first exposed to you guys. And
Yes.
they all do a lot for the community, and for that we're very thankful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, Renee's the ringleader. She started it all, and then we met a few years back and just
It's
bonded.
been a
and-
lot longer than
Yeah,
2
it's
years.
been quite a few years, but yeah, we've known each other for a while, and there's people in your life, I think, that are put in your life for a reason, and this season's been a long one, and it's going to remain forever. Some people's reason and season, but we're
We've
together.
been through it all
Yeah,
together.
we've been through a lot together.
Yeah, yeah, we have.
And I've known Joy for a long time. I haven't met Renee before, but certainly appreciate all the exposure and the comments we get on your website.
Yes, that is
regarding our
always-
law firm and our services. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. That is always one of the biggest questions from the ladies in our group. I need an attorney. Who do you recommend? And of course, you guys are always mentioned right there numerous times. So tell us about what kind of law you practice and what you have experienced as lawyers here in Coweta.
All right, I'll start. The firm started, I guess, back in 1994. Mike Cam and I were members of the old Rosenzweig and Jones McNabb firm on the square, and we decided to start our own firm in '94, which was the year my second son was born. John was born in 1990, and been doing what we do since then, which is limiting our practice to personal injury claims. Mike used to do a little criminal defense work. Brian Lewis has done a little criminal defense work with his DA background. But yeah, for the most part now, we're 99% personal injury. So if anybody gets hurt in any kind of way where someone else is at fault, we try to make it right, get them justice, and hopefully recover enough to cover all their damages. There's always a lot of medical bills involved. Sometimes there's a lot of loss of income situation or loss of business profits. So we just go after the party that's at fault, and it's usually not the party we're going after 99.9% of the time. It's their insurance company that we're fighting with.
Yeah.
And so we basically are insurance claims lawyers, essentially.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah, you hear all the stories about different people that, car accidents, and the insurance company says, this is what I'll give you, and then it costs them so much more out of pocket. And, you probably got lots of stories like that you deal with day in and day out.
Yeah, of course, the insurance companies want to get out as cheaply as possible. They make money by collecting premiums, not by paying claims. So, they don't have your interest. Number one, they have their own. So it's usually a fight involved. We get cases all the time where they make unreasonable offers, and we have to do what we have to do to maximize recovery for our clients. Fortunately, because we've been doing it so long, we know kind of what it takes to get claims resolved. So we only have to file suit probably in 20% or less of our cases. Most cases resolved by settlement negotiation.
I bet you have, since Newnan has been growing, I bet you have taken on a lot more cases because it seems like the traffic here has gotten worse. There's more people on the roads that don't watch, that don't care. And I mean, you see it every day. I mean, and it's been, I can't tell you the posts that we don't approve of, people driving down the road with their whatever.
The road rage.
Yeah.
It's
And
scary.
it is scary.
Well, and you raise a good point. I mean, I moved here in 1986, so I've been practicing law here for, 38, 39 years, total 41 years. But when I moved here in 86, it was a different town, much smaller, like I said, much less traffic. You knew everybody on the jury pool. And now you're lucky if you know anyone in the jury pool. It's just a bigger pool they're drawing from. But yes, the increased traffic, and the biggest thing is distracted driving, as we all know. People still drive around looking at their cell phones, even though there's laws against it. People do it. I mean, it's distracted driving is what causes most wrecks. It used to be back in the day, it was DUIs cause wrecks. Well, fortunately, there are less, I think, drunk drivers on the road nowadays because of the stiffer penalties. But
And Uber.
yeah, there you go. And alternative transportation, exactly. But with the distractions from cell phones and otherwise, social media, it just, we have probably as many or more wrecks as we did back in the DUI days.
Yeah.
If I could elaborate a little bit on your question, Renee, and my dad's response. Certainly there has been a significant increase in traffic in our community since, I've been around. And like Dad said, I was born here and raised here and live here now. I have a wife and a 2-year-old. So, talk about what my time looks like outside the office. Well, you can imagine it's occupied pretty
Busy family
busy,
man.
pretty busy with a 2-year-old at home, which is awesome. But there are a lot more wrecks, and we are fortunate to get a lot of inquiries at our office. And we do this for a living to help people when they need it most. When people call us, it's because something terrible has happened and something they didn't sign up for. And like my dad said, there's a lot of complicated factors that go into properly handling a car wreck case. You're dealing with the insurance company for the at-fault party. You're dealing with your own auto insurance company. What coverages do you have on your auto policy, right? And if I ask somebody that comes into my office, what kind of insurance coverage do you have on your policy? 99% of the time they'll say, I have full coverage. Well, that's just a bogus term in my opinion. There's no such thing as full coverage. There's all these different types of insurance coverages, different limits that you can have on your own auto policy. And they provide different means of recovery and different mechanisms of recovery when handling your medical expenses, for example, through medical payment coverage or underinsured motorist coverage, collision coverage, things like that. Not to mention that a lot of the times health insurance is involved. And your health insurance company, at the conclusion of your treatment, no matter what you're able to obtain from the at-fault driver's insurance company or your own, your health insurance company is going to assert a right to reimbursement. It's called subrogation. So, what we really do is we help our clients navigate that very complicated process when you're dealing with an awful lot of insurance companies, sometimes insurance companies making a claim against one another, not to mention, trying to negotiate those liens down, things like that. So, that's what we do. We help our client, we take the stress out of that for our clients and help them navigate a very difficult process. And, unfortunately, sometimes we're dealing with not just injured parties, but we're dealing with families who've lost somebody very close to them, right? So, and it can be very difficult. But going back to, has the increase in population resulted in more cases for our office? And the short answer to that question is it certainly could, but we make a conscious effort every single day to not let it. You're not going to see my dad, Brian, or I on a billboard. You're not going to see us on a TV commercial. And we are a small boutique law firm because we want to be, not because we have to be. Dad, like he said, he's been doing this 40 years, and I grew up in this industry. And, the legal industry, especially when it comes to personal injury and wrongful death claims in Georgia, it's changed a lot. throughout my lifetime. And, we are not the biggest law firm in America for a reason. When you call the biggest law firm in America, you're not going to get your lawyer. You're going to get a case manager. You're a number. That's exactly what I do not want to be. When somebody is coming to us, they don't want to hire us. They don't want to have to go through this very difficult, stressful process. And they're looking at significant medical expenses, economic damages. If they have something they need to talk about, they should be able to talk to their lawyer and their legal team and know that they're fighting to get the client the best possible outcome. We are very fortunate. Dad has built this office on that principle, and it's something that I try to carry on. And I also firmly believe that, that mindset and treating the client with the personal attention, allocating the sufficient resources to each and every case to get the best possible outcome, that is why we have, received.
It's kind of like in real estate, because I tell
Right.
you've got all these teams, and I like to start with my client
Right.
and stay with them the whole time. Because
Exactly.
sometimes you start and then you get passed off to someone else, and I feel like people are going to bond with you up front, and they're going to want to talk to you and not other people. So I think it's that personal concept to me goes a long, long way.
And the more personal attention you can give to each and every case, properly preparing it for trial, ultimately the better outcome you're going to receive. And that's why we have the largest recoveries in our county's history.
Yeah, just to elaborate a little bit on that, the firms that you see on TV and Billboard, they handle a higher volume of case, and because it's too many cases to handle, they end up farming those out to lawyers that don't have a reputation to get their own business, and they get a percentage of the fee for doing essentially nothing. We don't get business that way. We get business based on our reputation. So a lot of our referrals come from doctors that know that, we'll take care of their patient, but the patient's got a need. From judges, from other lawyers. We get a lot of cases from other lawyers that don't do what we do, but know what we do. And of course, from happy, satisfied clients is the most important referral base, and that's why we, just like in your business, if you have a happy client, they're going to send you somebody else. That's just the way it works. And we're glad that we don't have to do spend $1 million on TV ads or billboards to get business. So we're blessed in that regard. But if I could leave one message with your listeners that I'd like to send is this: most of the worst drivers on the road either have the minimal amount of insurance required by law, which is only $25,000 in liability, which doesn't go very far if you really are hurt. ER visit, setup. They either have that, or a lot of them have no insurance because they either it's not their car, they're not driving permission, they stole a car, or they got canceled because they couldn't afford insurance. And so it's so important because of that to have on your own insurance policy what we call underinsured motorist coverage. And under Georgia law, you can have underinsured motorist coverage up to the same amount as your liability coverage. So unless you elect a lesser amount, the insurance company has to offer you, say if you've got a $300,000 liability policy, they have to offer you $300,000 in underinsured coverage. So when you get hit by that guy that's got 25 or no coverage, you've got protection from your own insurance, because what uninsured motorist does essentially is pays what the guy at fault should be paying his insurance company, and then they turn around and, like John said earlier, subrogate and go after the at-fault party. So you're not a collection, have to hire a collection lawyer. You just collect from your insurance company and then let them worry about trying to chase this guy.
And if I could just add one thing, because everybody that I talk to about that, the first thing they ask is, well, what is my insurance company going to do to me if I use this coverage? Are they going to drop me? Are they going to increase my premiums? The short answer to that is no, they can't, because there's actually a statute in Georgia that makes it illegal for an insurance company to increase your premiums or drop you mid-policy term for using a no-fault coverage, such as underinsured motorist coverage that my dad was just discussing. So incredibly important to get sufficient underinsured motorist coverage on your auto policy. If you're listening to this, it's something that you should ask your insurance agent about, because no one wants to pay for it, but if God forbid something happens to you, you want to make sure that you or your family is protected.
In the worst cases, I say the worst in the sense that the injuries are the most significant or the death cases, they're always underinsured. And it's just, and it's too late after it happens to get the coverage. So get it before something bad happens, and be careful what you sign when you buy your insurance, because the agents like to get you to sign that election form saying, well, I've got 300,000 in liability, but I'm only going to take 25,000 in uninsured motorists because I want to save $10 a month. You know, it's just doesn't make sense. Don't make sure you buy as much uninsured motorists as your liability will let you buy, because that's protecting you against the guy that's out there trying to kill you that doesn't have adequate coverage.
I'm gonna go home and look at my insurance policy now. Insurance is so expensive. I hate to even look at it anymore.
Yes,
I'm
well,
having to do the health insurance thing now because I'm not of the age to go on Medicare. And now, for the first time in my life, I'm shopping health insurance, and it's just
oh, it's yeah,
brutal.
terribly expensive health
Yeah.
insurance is
Yeah,
terrible.
it's a necessary evil.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's certainly we pay a lot more than want to pay for the same coverage, but fortunately, I did qualify for Medicare in the last year or so, so
That's
I'm
the
saving a
level
little
now.
money.
Yeah, I'm just like, no. I don't know. It's just-
My firm was happy to see me go on it because they say paying that private insurance for me.
well, that's good.
Well, I wouldn't go
So
that.
as far as like we're talking about auto accidents, are there other like medical malpractice? I mean, anything else that you guys? I mean,
Really, just any kind of injury claim, we will look at it, evaluate it, and if it's something that we don't feel comfortable handling, we will find the best attorney to associate and handle it with us or refer you to. We don't do medical malpractice, but we know the guys that do, and if it's a good, valid case that needs to be looked at, we know who to refer it to.
okay, so this is a big question in my mind because we talked about how the power lines are being extended and people's properties are being purchased. So that falls under eminent domain.
The Fifth Amendment.
Correct.
So I guess a big question on that, because a lot of people may not know if what they're being offered is fair or not fair. Because if I know people who their whole homes are being bought so that they can extend transmission lines and they're tearing their
Right.
houses down. So I'm
Right.
assuming like there's probably replacement costs, but then in some cases with the eminent domain, it's like, okay, can I get more? Can I negotiate more? And I'm not sure if you guys deal with that, but I'm sure you have a little knowledge.
So
on
that is
subject.
that. It's outside of our area of
Mhm.
specialty,
Mhm.
but we are somewhat familiar with that. And again, if that's the type of question that if a client called me with,
Mhm.
I would get them to the very best
Mhm.
who handles that particular
Right.
type of case.
Yeah.
With regard to the Fifth Amendment and the eminent domain provisions under the Constitution, in a nutshell, what the Constitution says is that the government has to pay you fair compensation for taking that property, and it also has to be for the public use and for a public benefit. And that's where you see the majority of litigation, in my opinion, is over what constitutes, just compensation as well as, the public use element. Same probably with regard to inverse, I think it's condemnation, something like that. Like I said, not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, our practice is limited to personal injuries to individuals, but obviously when a wreck happens, there's a property damage aspect to it also, and we've had to advise clients how to navigate that part of the claim as well. But most of those claims get resolved by agreement, and we don't have to get formally involved in the property damage part of it because it's pretty easy now to figure out what a car's worth. A little more complicated in the real estate world where Joey lives,
Yeah.
But certainly with vehicles, it's kind of easy to figure out what they're worth just based on research and information available, online.
I tell you,
Do you typically settle, or do some of your cases have to go to court?
As I stated earlier, most cases are settled. We may file lawsuits to get them settled because sometimes insurance companies don't take you seriously until they know you're willing to go to court. So the key is to let them know you're willing to go to court. I estimated 20% of our cases end up with a lawsuit being filed. I would say 1% actually go to trial because when I started doing this business 41 years ago, I tried a lot more cases because we didn't have what they call alternative dispute resolution like we do today, ADR, which is mediations, arbitrations. In our business, most judges require us to go to mediation before they'll put us on a trial calendar. And mediation has an 80% success rate. So it's basically a settlement conference with a third-party mediator, and that's how most cases get resolved prior to going to trial.
I want to be clear though, just because we don't go to trial on nearly as many cases as we used to, I'm certainly going to court still. Because a lot of the times these cases are won in what's called the discovery period. So from a logistics standpoint, let's say that you're in a car wreck. Our office represents you. We'll make every effort to get the case settled without filing a lawsuit against the at-fault party by dealing with the at-fault party's insurance company. Let's say that they deny responsibility or they lowball you, right? Well, we may have to file a lawsuit against the at-fault party in order to get the claim into litigation. Now, something to keep in mind also, which is an interesting thing that most people don't realize, is that, if we're in litigation, meaning that we filed a lawsuit against an at-fault party because the at-fault party's insurance company is lowballing our client. Well, under Georgia evidence laws, we're not allowed to tell the jury that we're not actually, suing this sweet lady that's 83 years old that, caused this wreck. We're just trying to get a fair deal from her insurance company. The jury's never allowed to hear that. The jury's not allowed to hear that the at-fault party has insurance and that we're actually, or how much, or her lawyers are paid by her insurance company as part of her coverage. We're not allowed to say all of that.
Wow.
But going back to when we go to court, what I find myself in court a lot over are discovery disputes. So let's say that we're not able to get the case settled. We have to file a lawsuit. Well, the defendant then has 30 days following service to answer the lawsuit. When they answer the lawsuit, that's when the discovery period starts. And it's usually 6 months. A lot of the times it's extended. But that's when the parties are taking things like depositions, right? We'll send written questions, interrogatories, requesting written discovery. We also take depositions. Well, in my experience, a defendant, really their lawyers, are not inclined to turn over information voluntarily that's not helpful to their case, even if we are very much so entitled to it under the Georgia Georgia Civil Practice Act. So what we find ourselves doing sometimes is filing motions to compel, and sometimes we have to get the judge involved in order for them to say, hey, yeah, you got to turn this over. They're entitled to this. And that's when cases a lot of the times are settled. When you've gotten the case totally prepared for trial, you've got the evidence that you need to get the best outcome possible at trial, and then right before trial, the insurance company gets real and the case ends up settling. That's what we see a lot. And it's not easy. It's a fight, and it can be stressful, but it can also be rewarding because you're doing everything you can to help these folks that are turning to you.
It can linger for a long time, correct?
Well, because of the 6-month discovery period, you're already looking at 7 months after you file a lawsuit before you even get to where you can request a trial calendar or trial date, which the judge puts it on a pre-trial calendar. You meet with the judge, then it gets on the trial calendar. So from the time you file a lawsuit to get into court is no sooner than a year, usually more like a year and a half, depending on the court system and how backed up their calendars are. It could be longer than that, some of the metro counties. But an example of what John just said, we had a case up in Gwinnett where we were suing a large concrete company that their driver backed a concrete truck up, and our guy was running the pump truck, and he was trying to line the hopper up with the pump truck to let the concrete in, and the truck driver let the truck lunge back because he was an inexperienced driver, didn't know how to drive stick shift, basically a new employee, and it's crushed our guy's leg between the pump truck and the truck, the cement truck. So he ended up losing his leg. And of course they blamed our client in the case all along, saying, well, he shouldn't have been standing between the two trucks, even though he had given the hand signals and the guy did what he's supposed to do. He was doing his job. He got to line the thing up to shoot. So, but they denied liability, and we're not willing to pay anything. And throughout the process of discovery, we got them to admit essentially that the truck driver violated their own safety, rules and own safety policies and their safety training, because we were able to find some of their safety information on YouTube, like videos and things, where it said it's responsibility of the cement truck driver to make sure nobody's there before he backs up, So we did that. We also requested, of course, tons of documents from this company. And one of the things we asked for was email correspondence, because we knew this is a Swedish company, it's an international company. We knew there'd be a lot of email correspondence about this case, back and forth even before the lawsuit was filed, before they even got a lawyer. So it's
Which they initially denied. No such emails regarding this catastrophic event that took this innocent man's leg.
Yeah.
Not one email about it.
so we go through 12 depositions and 6 months of discovery, and wrote several letters saying, are you sure there's no emails? And just giving them every opportunity to produce it. And they waited till the day before discovery expired and produced 20,000 pages of emails.
Great.
And 700 pages of them were 700 were redacted or blacked out, so we couldn't see what they said because they were not favorable to their case.
Right.
So we filed a motion for sanctions, and the judge ordered basically to either strike their answer so they can't defend on liability, or give us issue preclusion so they can't blame our guy. And the judge agreed and said it's so egregious she issued preclusion they couldn't blame my guy for the incident. And the case settled 30 days later for $21 million. So,
Wow.
you
Not
just
fair.
have to use the system to make them do what they have to do, or they're not going to voluntarily just give you what you need to prove your case. You got to know what to ask for and how to get it.
Yeah.
And it was, I believe that, I'm not sure if this is true, but I did see a report that was, I think, one of the top 10 recoveries for a case like that in America that year.
For below the knee amputation, it's one of the highest recoveries in the country, period, for that type of injury.
Well, I mean, that's a great settlement, but how do you put a price on
Right.
your limbs?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
And those prosthetics, as you know, have to be replaced every so often because
So expensive.
the leg changes, and future medical is a large part of what those damages were that they paid for.
wow.
Going back to the issue that y'all brought up regarding trying cases, one of the highlights of not just my career, but my life has been able to, is trying cases to a jury with my dad as co-counsel.
Awesome.
And I mean, what a wonderful experience. Those are memories that I'll cherish forever. And there's nothing like, because I really look up to my dad. That's why I do what I do for a living. I remember being at the Cracker Barrel here in town when I was probably 8 or 10 years old and having folks come up to him that I didn't know and thanking him for making such a meaningful difference in their life when they needed it most.
Yeah, just to say that you're truly local. I mean,
That's
I love
amazing.
I love that. It's just we have so many new people moving in here. It's great. We love them all, but there's still core local people, I think, that set the presence for where our community is. And we all laugh and jokingly say with this election in place, and we've got the 30263ers, and I kind of feel like when I look at that, I always and I love the whole county. I sell everywhere, but when I go home at night, I feel like I go home to my little 30263 haven, and that's just home to me.
That's right.
But the core people that made this community that have branched out into the whole county, because the county's big, because educated others moving in here and what they want to know about the community, and there's so many people moving here that genuinely they're like, we love Newnan, we want to be involved. And I think being here, being local, having a presence, and having a jump start on how it used to be and how we've evolved, I think it's great just to have that whole concept.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to coach my son's little league baseball teams if I was working in Atlanta.
But now their kids are playing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll be soon, hopefully, but
Because my son, he grew up here, and now we're seeing his friends' kids, and they're all growing up together.
right, it's great, it's great.
So,
But supporting the community, like Samaritan Clinic, Angel Run, we do a lot of community
Piedmont.
involvement, and we think it's important to give back to the community because the community has been great and good to us and loyal to us, and we appreciate that very much.
That's what I value so much about Coweta County and Newnan specifically, is that it is a value-based community. There are some core values here that we all share, and it is a unique, it's a unique place. I mean, it's a special place when you compare it to other areas around Atlanta. I mean, it's growing an awful lot, but it still has that small, tight-knit feel. We're all in this together. And
and I love the fact that we no longer have to travel outside Coweta County. to do
Right.
things.
Exactly.
Used to, if you wanted entertainment, you had to go everywhere. But now we're getting so many things that are keeping us in town.
I've said for years, I was a military wife. I lived all over the country. There's no place like Newnan.
absolutely.
And the people here, and just it's truly a gem in itself.
Certainly agree.
Yeah.
My dad was Air Force, so I moved around a little bit, not as much as most because of what he did in the Air Force with missiles, but I've lived in New York, Florida, Texas, and
Yeah.
Georgia, and I've no place I'd rather be than where I am right now.
No, I agree. Could not agree with you more. So,
Good people.
working with your dad, you can just see how much you look up to him, and
Yeah.
that's very heartwarming.
Yeah.
What do y'all do to wind down after? Because I know that being a lawyer is stressful, and taking on other people's problems are stressful. I do that daily, but in a different aspect.
Sure.
Um,
Sure. Well, I can answer that for me. For once my kids got growing, I wasn't involved in their sporting activities. My wife, her family had a place at Lake Martin when we first started dating. So I've been going to Lake Martin for over 40 years, and it's just been kind of a really place to go and wind down, get on the boat, getting across the water. Just stress kind of goes away.
oh yeah.
So I still enjoy going to Lake Martin, so the boys and their families, and golf. John's a big golfer. I play some when I can, but I'm not as committed to it as he is. But I do enjoy it. I live at the Newnan Country Club community, so I've been a golf member for over 30 years, and
wow.
he grew up there, playing golf too. So
Yeah,
That's
a
a
great
fun
place.
thing
We
to
lived
do.
there for 27 years, and that was a great place to
yeah,
raise kids.
Oh,
And
yeah. Well, I
the
love.
country club has really evolved.
it has.
Yeah,
It has.
it's come a long way.
Come a long way for sure.
Mhm.
Well, I don't play as much golf as I wish I could. Like you said,
You gotta
we
have
were
a lot of
talking.
patience for that.
We're so busy all the
Family.
time. Yeah, we're so.
Little ones.
I have a 2.5-year-old at home, so that is the joy of my life right now. So despite all the stressful things that we go through and see every day, and these people going through horrific things that are just unimaginable,
Yes.
and they come to us for help, and you want nothing more than to just do everything you can to help them. It is quite a stress reliever when you walk in at night and you have, Lenny, my 2-year-old, that's like, Daddy, hey, so that's the best. And I have a wonderful wife at home as well. And do try to play golf occasionally. Really enjoy that. Try to be active. Went for a run this morning, to clear your head, things
Yeah.
like that. Unfortunately, I am an Auburn University sports fan, so
Well, so
that's right. It's not easy being an Auburn fan.
They're getting a new coach.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, we stay busy. That's for sure.
That's awesome. That's
All right, we're getting our 2-minute warning over here in the corner.
Oh.
The church community too is important. Always been an
Absolutely.
important aspect of our life. I've been a member of Central Baptist Church since I got married in '86, and boys grew up there, baptized there. Joel Richardson was our preacher forever, and now we got Matt Sapp, who's great too. But it's just nice that to have that continuity with the same church family for that long, and when things go bad and you have hard times, it's good to have those people behind you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well, we're so glad to have you on today, and so glad that people can actually learn a little bit more about you. And like you said, not avoid, but it's much better to have a hometown law firm that if you're going to call,
Right. That you're going to get a real person.
you're going to get a real person.
Right. And I'll tell you what I tell all my clients, Renee. It doesn't matter if it's not an area of practice that we handle. Call us first.
Yeah.
We know who the best are. We know who we'd hire if we were in your shoes. We'll get you to the best.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So much.
Yes,
Well,
thank you.
Thanks for the
coming on.
opportunity to come visit with y'all. We appreciate it
Absolutely.
very much. Nice to meet you all.
Well, until next time, Joey,
Yes. See you soon.
hopefully we'll know some results here very soon.
No doubt.